Well, this isn't quite the best way to start a new Doctor's era now, is it? I mean, it's not the worst either, but it's not the best. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Season 19, Story 1, Castrovalva, the first story to feature Peter Davison as the 5th Doctor. And it's easily the weakest post-regeneration story at this point. I mean, yeah, there's going to be weaker to come, but yeah, Castrovalva isn't quite that good. I mean, it's alright, but it's no new series post-regeneration story, is it? New series, I think, do a lot of great post-regeneration stories. And going back on other post-regeneration stories before this one, we've had some really good ones. Power of the Daleks was brilliant. Spearhead from Space was a masterpiece. Robot was fun. That had a fun, interesting story. But Castrovalva is just a lot of walking around, standing around and talking for the first half of the story, and then when they get to Castrovalva itself, then it starts to get a bit more interesting. I think some people have said that the first half is good when they're in the TARDIS, and the second half not so good when they're in Castrovalva. For me, I find it the other way around. Correct me if I'm wrong about that point about people liking the first half, but not really being fans of the second half, or if I've got that mixed up. Correct me if I've got it mixed up. But for me, I personally prefer the second half when they're in Castrovalva. They at least try to make something interesting. Try to do an interesting story. Try to get to know the location, the characters in that place. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, first of all, we got the first pre-credits scenes, a pre-title sequence of a Doctor Who story. If you discount Power of the Daleks, Macra Terror and Sharda having ones added to those in the reanimation or remakes, in the animated remakes or partly animated remakes in Sharda's case. So those first episodes have had pre-credits, pre-title sequences with the regeneration of the first Doctor into the second Doctor in Power, a scene from the Moon Base Part 4 put at the start of Macra Terror, which make perfect sense, and then Sharda's they put the first scene of Sharda Part 1 at the start of the Sharda, but that's a feature-length film version, then that makes sense. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Faceless Ones, if they're just going to, because they're reanimating episode 1, which survives anyway, but if they're going to reanimate that episode, they may as well just not bother with a pre-title scene, and just do what the other reanimated episodes have done beforehand and just start as normal. And of course, apart from Series 11, new series has pretty much had every single story from End of the World to Twice Upon a Time have a scene at the start of the story before the titles, except Smith & Jones and Partners in Crime. Those two stories and Rose don't have them, and then Series 11 has started with the titles themselves, apart from the two stories that don't have the titles. Woman Who Fell to Earth and Resolution. No idea why not, but, I mean, well, certainly not for Resolution Woman I can see, but Resolution not as much. They at least need the title card. But apart from Rose, Smith & Jones and Partners in Crime, all of Series 1 to 10 stories have had a pre-title sequence, pre-title scene, and Series 11 is the first series not to have that, besides the stories that don't have the title sequence. So they're going back to a bit more classic-y. Classic stories, there are 4 stories, minus the BBC reanimated stories, that have these, and have the pre-titles, pre-credit scenes. I keep getting it mixed up with a pre-title sequence from the Bond films or from a film. But pre-credit scene. Castrovalva was first, then we get the Five Doctors, then we get Time in the Rani, and then we get Remembrance of the Daleks. And also, technically, also the TV movie, I guess. So, yeah, and the pre-title scene in this story is basically a recap of the Fourth Doctor regeneration with a bit of alterations. The music's different. Adric and Nissa's probably had their lines redubbed, apart when they're watching The Watcher. And there's no flashbacks. So it's basically a slightly re-edited version of the regeneration scene from the last story. And then after the new titles, well, the same titles but with Peter Davison's face, and I think they're a bit more white and blue as opposed to yellow and pink. So I think they're a little altered, but we've also got the face in it. The new face, I should say, with Peter Davison. And then after that, they're running away from the security guards. Now, remember in the last, my review of Logopolis, where I said I wasn't really a fan of the security guards being characters in the story? Well, now they're made to be actual people as well as characters in this story. Characters, they actually have a bit more interaction. Oh, these guys, just get back to the TARDIS and get out of there. The Master is there so the Master can kidnap Adric and then send a possessed version of him inside the TARDIS or something. I'm not sure what's happening. But the Doctor is unwell. He tries to find the Zero Room. He's unraveling his scar. Shows you what the production team thought of that. And he eventually finds the Zero Room with help from Adric and then Nyssa and Tegan, after also getting his new costume based on a sort of cricketer costume, which actually works with Peter Davison. He actually pulls off the cricket outfit really well. And then it seems that possessed Adric has set the TARDIS in motion to Event 1, the Big Bang, so it would be destroyed. However, they escape, so the Master decides to set up another trap, which Adric had set into the coordinates before being captured or whatever. It's not really made that clear. And it seems the TARDIS team head to Castrovalva for a nice recreational stay. However, things start... Nyssa and Tegan are trying to look after the Doctor, but they run into some hijinks, and eventually they lose him, and they're attacked by some wild creatures. These wild creatures turn out to be people from Castrovalva, and they go there, and have a look around, learn a bit about its history, and then things start messing around when they try to leave and try to find Adric. But then it's eventually revealed that it's a trap set by the Master, and soon the Castrovalvians fight off the Master, and the Doctor and companions escape, all of them. And eventually they head back to the TARDIS, and off they go, travel for the rest of the season. The first 5 to 8 minutes really just deals with the running away from the security guards getting captured. The Master eventually securing Adric whilst Tegan and Nyssa help the Doctor to escape. And then it's just stuff in the TARDIS and just talking. There are some good bits, like the Doctor is getting over his post-regeneration story, and during this time he was I can't remember what they described it as, but the Doctor, his mind was sort of a bit defenseless, and then his regeneration came at the wrong time, so that now he's not quite sure of himself at the moment. Apparently this was because the writers didn't know what type of Doctor they wanted at the start, and this would be the same with the following 2 incarnations. Goodness, if you're going to create a new Doctor, set their character out before you write the stories. So, yeah, the Doctor eventually recovers is on a recovery throughout this story, and yeah, it's just quite a bit of the stuff isn't that great. I mean, it does go by quickly. I'll say that it doesn't drag. Well, episode 1 anyway. Episode 1 doesn't drag. Episode 2's not as lucky, but it's just not that interesting. Some bits are good, like the 5th Doctor getting his costume, but it's just not so interesting. Just lots of talking, and it's just not that great. Episode 2 is not really that much better. I swear Sarah Sutton accidentally fell down that bank into the river, and the production team told her to stay where she was. They're keeping that shot in the story, and they want to get a close-up of her reaction, and then they filmed a reaction, and it's not even a very good reaction. Sorry, Sarah Sutton. And then they got her out, along with the wheelchair that had also fallen into the thing. I also wouldn't be surprised if that had fallen in by accident. And yeah, it's just the whole thing's throughout the woods. I wouldn't mind a gentle stroll, but it's just not that great. I mean, no, it's not that great. I will say this, Tegan is getting really great in this story. She was great in the last story, following character development. This story, I think she's gotten even better, and she stays really great. And this is also really good, but I think Tegan really steals it. Adric's gone down a bit since the last story. This is mainly due to being out of action quite a lot, although he is there for the Doctor in some bits in part 1. As for the Master, well, Master, the Doctor's just regenerated. Just give him a damn chance, alright? Just give him a chance to recover, alright? I mean, trying to kill him all the time, you're going to hurt yourself. He does hurt himself. Okay, yeah, the Master would probably try and kill the Doctor when he's down on his luck and at his weakest, but you just had this big plot to hold the universe to ransom, and now he's got these 2 plans to try and kill the Doctor right after regenerating. It would have probably just been better if we didn't have the Event 1 stuff, and the Master just set up Castrovalva as a trap, so that he could capture and or kill the Doctor. And then maybe steal his other lives? Maybe. TV movie plot. But if it works, then it would work. But yeah, I don't know. The Master just trying to send the TARDIS into Event 1 just seems a bit pointless. Especially as he's got Castrovalva as a big backup. Yeah. I will say this, Ainley is very good in the story, and he's also really good as the Portreeve, who the Master disguises himself as. Before revealing himself to be the Master. And this is something that's going to happen throughout the Davison years. The Master will have this the disguise where he will look like someone else, but it turns out it's a projection and it's revealed to be him. So unlike Delgado, where he'll rip off a mask or something, it's actually a sort of an effect that will turn a alien makeup and costume, so he's a different character, into the Master, basically. I think the other characters in Castrovalva are alright. The ones we have around, they're a bit dim, but they're fun dim. The sets look good, nice. They actually look like a small castle-bound village, and also the location work looks very nice as well in the Pharos project and in the woodlands. I don't get the idea of the Castrovalvans hunt. I know they want to hunt, but I don't get them attacking Nyssa, Tegan, and the Doctor. Or at least that's what it may be implied. They might actually not do that, come to think of it. It makes more sense of them why they're out there doing that when we get talking to them in part 3. But if they came attacking and drawing blood, it doesn't really make sense. And actually, when I was watching it, I was thinking they're being attacked by Ewoks. Star Wars fans will get that reference. And the Ewoks in Star Wars actually were good, debatably. But these guys, I thought they're going to be attacked by Ewoks. Yay. But it's alright, they don't really get attacked, not really. But that's really about it, I can say, for Castrovalva. Some of the effects look okay. Some of them are a bit dated, but look okay for the time. And yeah, it's really about it. Castrovalva's there isn't really that much meat there once you get past the post-regeneration stuff. It's just getting the Doctor to recover after things have gone a little bit wrong this time, and now after everything's done, he's restful and he's ready to get back to saving the universe in his now new 5th incarnation. But that being said, Castrovalva itself as a story just isn't that interesting. The TARDIS stuff, there are some good bits, but there are some just talking bit, but there are lots of talking bits that could have been cut or just removed to maybe just a look. This is visual medium. This isn't like a big Finish audio where they would have talking because they've got to talk in that, or have lots of sounds because we can't see what's going on. But this is television. We could have a look sometimes, maybe a few reactions of maybe worry or fear instead of lots of dialogue. That could have helped a little bit. The second half I find a little bit better when we actually get to Castrovalva and we get to have a look around, learn a bit more about the history and the people. But on the whole, I don't think it's a particularly brilliant story. I think it's okay, but for a post-regeneration story, it's not that great. It's not the worst, but it's certainly one of the weaker ones overall. So I'm going to give Castrovalva a 6 out of 10. Boring. It doesn't drag. It's not a slogfest. It actually does go a bit quickly in the first episode. Once they get into the TARDIS, then it starts to go by a bit quicker. I mean, yeah, even the first 7-8 minutes, it was pretty quick. So it's actually it's not a slow, draggy story. But I don't think it really needs to be 4 parts. I think it would have been okay at 3. Maybe cut some of the stuff out of parts 1 and 2 and you'll be okay. And also cut out the event 1 stuff, and you would be okay with a 3-parter. Just have another 3. Just cut one of the other 4-parters down to 3 parts, and you'll be fine. You'll be pretty much equal. But yeah, Castrovalva, I think it's all right. It's just not that interesting. It's not that great, but it's not bad. It's okay. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. Next time, I'll be taking a look at Season 19, Story 2, Fall to Doomsday. And I'll see you guys then. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Well, this isn't... Excuse me. And I'll let that car past. Bloody thing. Alright, restart. Action. Well, this isn't quite the right way to start, isn't it? Hello. But apart from Rose, Smith and Jones in Partners in Crime, every single story up from End of the World to but apart from Rose, Smith and Jones, so it's basically a condensed and re-altered, goodness gracious, set your incarnate, yeah, possibly, but if it, so I'm going to give Castrovalva a 6 out of 10. It's not boring. It doesn't slog.